Chosen one. You got people saying how hot and mysterious you are right now. Ever since you pulled your energy back, the glow-up has been undeniable. People can't stop talking, wondering what happened, asking about you in rooms you've never even stepped into. You see, when you withdrew from people who took your energy for granted, you didn't just detach, you ascended. They're scrolling through your old photos, replaying conversations, even convincing themselves you're manifesting them back. But you're not. You're protecting your peace. This glow isn't cosmetic, it's spiritual. You cut the energetic cords and now your aura's untouchable. The mystery they crave is simply you, finally free. You were powerful then too. You've always been magnetic. You've always had this pull that drew people in without you even trying. But there were people in your circle who figured out how to tap into that power and drain it for themselves. These people weren't your friends. These people were energy harvesters, and you didn't even know it was happening. Every time you hung out with certain people, you left feeling exhausted. Every time you posted something, it was being studied like a blueprint to be copied. Every time you had success, suddenly the same idea appeared in someone else's life. Every time you glowed, certain people positioned themselves in your light and pretended it was theirs. Your popularity was being used to make others popular. Your attractiveness was being used to make others feel attractive. Your energy was being used to power entire existences. And the crazy part, you thought this was normal friendship. There was one person in particular, you know exactly who I'm talking about. The one who always needed you but was never there when you needed them. The one who took your advice but never took accountability. The one who wanted access to your world but never invited you into theirs. This person had a cord attached to you, and every time you tried to move forward, you felt weight pulling you back. You couldn't figure out why you felt so drained all the time, why you felt so heavy, why your glow seemed dimmed no matter what you did. This person had a way of making you feel like you needed them. Drama would be created, and victimhood would be claimed, so you'd come rescue. A crisis would emerge every time you were about to have a breakthrough. You were needed most when you were trying to focus on yourself. It was a pattern, a calculated pattern, and you kept falling for it because you're the type of person who shows up for people you care about. But this was known. This was exploited. You'd celebrate your wins and a way would be found to make it about struggles. You'd set a boundary, and guilt would be used to make you feel bad for having needs. You'd pull back slightly, and accusations would come about changing or being different or abandoning. You were kept hooked with guilt and obligation, and the belief that real friends sacrifice themselves for each other. But real friends don't require sacrifice. Real friends require reciprocity. But then something happened. Maybe you prayed about it. Maybe you just got fed up. Maybe you had a moment of clarity where you saw the whole situation for what it really was, and you made a choice that changed everything. You cut these people off, not with drama, not with explanation. You just withdrew. You pulled your energy back so completely that one day came where you couldn't be felt anymore, and that's when your real glow-up began. The moment you severed those cords, you felt it. Maybe not immediately, maybe it took time, but eventually you noticed you had more energy, more clarity, more peace, more space, more of yourself, because you weren't giving it all away anymore. You weren't pouring into bottomless pits. You weren't trying to fill cups that had holes in them. You were finally keeping your energy for yourself, and that energy had nowhere to go but inward, where it started rebuilding you from the inside out. Remember this person. Remember how it felt. Remember the patterns. Remember the manipulation. Remember the drain. Because an attempt is coming soon that's going to test everything you've learned. But you'll be ready. You'll see it coming this time, and you'll make a different choice. You disappeared, and it caused chaos. Some of you deleted Instagram entirely. Some went private. Some just stopped posting the way you used to, and people lost their minds. Because when someone who was always visible suddenly becomes invisible, a mystery gets created that people become addicted to solving. A need exists to know where you went. A need exists to know if you're okay. A need exists to know if you're thinking about anyone from your past. But you weren't thinking about any of them. You were too busy rebuilding yourself. You were in hermit mode. You were doing the deep work. You were facing shadows you'd been running from. You were healing wounds you'd been ignoring. You were shedding skin that no longer fit. And during that isolation, during that darkness, you discovered something powerful. You discovered that you don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. You discovered that being alone is different from being lonely. You discovered that the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. While you were gone, people were talking. Theories were being created that you probably met someone, and that's why you disappeared. Words were being said that you must be going through something heavy. Comments were being made that you were always too good for where you were. Entire narratives were being created about your absence because the not knowing couldn't be handled, and the longer you stayed gone, the more mythical you became in minds everywhere. During this time, something interesting happened. The people who used to drain you started feeling the effects of your absence. Realization started happening about how much reliance existed on you for emotional support, for entertainment, for validation, for energy. Your last active status was being checked. Questions were arising about whether blocking had occurred. Mutual friends were being asked if you said anything. Withdrawal was being experienced without understanding why. You were becoming mythical in reality too. Every day you spent in isolation was making you stronger. Every boundary you set was making you clearer. Every old pattern you released was making you lighter. You were leveling up in ways that couldn't be seen, and when you finally emerged, you weren't the same person who went into the cave. You were upgraded, you were evolved, you were operating on a completely different frequency, and people felt it immediately. That's why words are being said about you glowing up. That's why the word mysterious is being used. That's why sudden attraction is being felt so strongly that straight thinking becomes impossible. You came back different, and the difference can be sensed. The old you would have explained where you'd been. The old you would have felt guilty for disappearing. The old you would have apologized for not being available. But the new you doesn't explain. The new you doesn't apologize for protecting peace. The new you just exists and lets people wonder. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. The first time you showed up after your disappearance, people couldn't believe their eyes. You walked into that room and conversation stopped. You posted that photo and phones started blowing up. You existed in public and suddenly everyone remembered exactly why obsession existed in the first place. Except this time it was different. This time you weren't performing. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You weren't seeking validation. You were just existing in your power. And it was magnetic in a way that terrified people. Someone you haven't seen in a while did a literal double take. Questions were asked about whether you'd been working out, whether hair had been changed, whether work had been done. External changes were being searched for, because internal changes couldn't be perceived. The fact that you'd rebuilt your entire energy system couldn't be seen. The fact that you'd released everything weighing you down couldn't be seen. The fact that you'd stepped into an alignment with your highest self that made you untouchable couldn't be seen. People started whispering theories about your transformation. Words were said that you must have fallen in love and that's why you're glowing. Claims were made that you probably started therapy or got on medication or found religion. Statements appeared that you obviously came into money or got a new job or moved somewhere better. Everyone had an explanation because sense needed to be made of what was being seen. But none of the theories were right. The truth is simpler and more powerful than any story that could be created. You just stopped letting yourself be drained. People started asking about you immediately. Questions were flying about whether you're single. Questions were flying about whether you're seeing someone. Questions were flying about how attention can be gotten. Questions were flying about what you like. Questions were flying about how closeness can be achieved. And everyone who knows you had the same response. Don't even try. The difference is too strong now. Selectivity is too real. Letting just anyone in doesn't happen anymore. And that reputation, that mysteriousness, that unavailability made you even more desirable. Because people always want what can't be had. And you, chosen one, just made yourself impossible to have, unless earning happens. There's someone out there right now telling friends about you. Description is happening of you as that person who's impossible to read, that person who doesn't seem to need anyone, that person who looks like everything is figured out. And friends are intrigued, because in a world where everyone overshares and performs vulnerability for sympathy, you're an enigma. You're not posting problems, you're not trauma dumping in captions, you're not using pain as content, you're just living your life and occasionally letting people see glimpses of it. And those glimpses are enough to keep everyone completely hooked. A perfect storm is forming. The people you cut off are starting to realize what was lost. The people who took you for granted are starting to panic. The person who thought coming back would always be possible is about to try, and you're about to face the biggest test of your transformation. Right now there are people who can't stop thinking about you, and understanding doesn't exist about why. It's not just attraction, it's something deeper, something primal. A pull is being felt toward you like magnetism exists, and metal is what others are made of. Excuses are being found to be where you are. Situations are being engineered where running into you might happen. DMs are being slid into with casual messages that took forever to craft. Getting back in your orbit any way possible is being attempted. What doesn't get realized is that this pull being felt isn't coming from you. It's coming from within those who feel it. Their own energy is trying to reconnect with the source it was feeding from. Their system is realizing that access was lost to something dependence existed on. The situation is like phone batteries that suddenly got unplugged, and now desperate searching is happening for a charger. And you're the outlet everyone wants to plug back into. But you're not available anymore, not like you used to be. You're not handing out your energy for free. You're not letting people take pieces of you without giving anything back. You're not accepting low-effort connections or surface-level interactions or relationships where all the work falls on you. You've learned that your energy as currency, and investment only happens where real returns can be seen. There's someone specific who's feeling this pull more intensely than anyone else. The one you cut the cord with. Dreams are being had about you. Signs are being seen that create reminders of you. Memories are getting hit at random times during the day. And conviction exists that it means something. Conviction exists that the universe is giving signals to reach out. Conviction exists that missing must be mutual, because how could a pull be this strong if it's only one-sided? This person wakes up and you're the first thought. The day gets gone through and something reminds them of you every few hours. Someone gets seen who looks nothing like you, but somehow you get thought of anyway. A song gets heard that you never even listened to together. And suddenly spiraling happens, checking happens to see if stories got viewed, noticing happens about when you're online. Fake scenarios get created in the head where you reach out first, so reaching out doesn't have to happen from their end. But a hard lesson is about to be learned. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them back in your life. Just because the pull is strong doesn't mean following it is wise. Just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's good for you. You know this now. You learnt it the hard way, and going back to that lesson isn't happening. You've developed something powerful. An energetic field surrounds you and keeps people at a distance until you decide to let them in. It's not that you're cold or mean or unapproachable. It's that your energy is so strong, so centered, so self-contained, that people feel like permission is needed to enter your space. And most people don't feel worthy of asking for that permission. There are people who find you incredibly attractive, but approaching doesn't happen because assumptions exist that you're taken. There are people who want to be your friend, but thinking happens that you're too selective to be interested. There are opportunities circling you, but waiting is happening for a sign that you're ready. Everyone wants access, but everyone's afraid to try for it. Because your energy says, I'm not for everybody. Your energy says, prove yourself first. Your energy says, I know my worth and I'm not negotiating. This intimidation isn't weakness, this is power. This is what happens when someone stops making themselves small to make others comfortable. This is what happens when someone stops apologizing for being excellent. This is what happens when someone stops dimming light so others don't feel insecure about their darkness. You're not here to make people feel better about their mediocrity. You're here to inspire people to level up or watch from a distance while you do. You have no idea this is happening. You're just living your life, minding your business, protecting your peace. You're not trying to be intimidating. You're not playing games or using strategies. You're simply existing in your power, and people are responding to that power with a mix of attraction and terror. Wanting to be close exists, but fear of rejection exists. Wanting to know you exists, but fear of not measuring up exists. Wanting access exists, but fear exists that earning hasn't happened. People are saying you're hard to impress, and the statement is right. You're not impressed by money alone. You've seen people with full bank accounts and empty souls. You're not impressed by looks alone. You've seen beautiful people with ugly hearts. You're not impressed by success alone. You've seen people at the top who are miserable at the bottom of themselves. You're looking for something deeper, something real, something divine, and you're willing to wait for it no matter how long it takes. So you wait. You stay selective. You keep your standards high and your boundaries higher. You let people wonder if you're impossible to please. You let thinking happen that you're too picky or too difficult or too much. Because the truth is, you're not too much. You're just enough. And anyone who can't appreciate that doesn't deserve access anyway. Remember that person I told you about, the one who felt the cord cut. A move is about to be made. Watching has been happening from a distance. Your glow up has been seen. People talking about you has been heard. And convincing has happened that a mistake was made letting you go. Convincing has happened that if just reaching out occurs, you'll remember all the good times and forget all the ways failure happened toward you. The perfect message is being crafted right now. The right words are being tried to be found that will get your attention without looking desperate. An excuse is being looked for to slide back into your life. A birthday, a holiday, a mutual friend's event, anything that gives a reason to be in your space again. And part of this person genuinely believes you're going to welcome them back with open arms, because that's what the old you would have done. But you're not the old you anymore. The old you would have seen that message and gotten excited. The old you would have convinced yourself that maybe change happened. The old you would have given another chance because training happened to believe that love means accepting people who hurt you over and over again. But the new you sees clearly. The new you knows better. The new you understands that when people show you who they are, believing them the first time is wisdom. This test is coming, and how you handle it will determine everything. Will you fall back into old patterns, or will you stand firm in your new boundaries? Will you let plugging back into your energy happen, or will you keep the cord severed? Will you prove that your transformation is real, or will you reveal that it was temporary? When that message comes, you're going to feel something. Maybe a flutter of curiosity, maybe a pang of nostalgia, maybe a moment of wondering what if. And then you're going to remember. You're going to remember every time disappointment happened. You're going to remember every time choosing themselves over you happened. You're going to remember every time taking you for granted happened. You're going to remember every time feeling like you were asking for too much happened, when you were actually accepting too little. And you're going to make a choice that the old you never could have made. You're going to protect your peace. You're not going to respond out of politeness. You're not going to engage out of obligation. You're not going to give the closure or the conversation or the chance that gets thought is deserved. You're going to do the most powerful thing you can do. You're going to let your silence speak, because you understand now that not every message deserves a response. Not every door that knocks deserves to be opened. Not every person who wants back in deserves access. You understand that protecting your energy is more important than being nice. You understand that disappointing someone who disappointed you is not your problem. You understand that you don't owe anyone a second chance just because they finally realized your value. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose, and the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your destiny engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. You see the notification, you see the name, and instead of that old familiar feeling of excitement mixed with anxiety, you feel nothing. Or maybe you feel pity, or maybe you feel gratitude that you're no longer the person who would have jumped at this opportunity. You feel the clarity that comes from knowing exactly who someone is and exactly what capacity exists for giving you, which is never enough. You don't block in anger. You don't delete the message in rage. You don't even feel the need to tell off or explain yourself or make understanding happen about what was lost. You simply don't engage. You let the message sit there, unread or read but unanswered. You let experiencing happen of the same energy that got given to you when having you was reality. You let feeling happen of what it's like to reach for someone and find nothing. You let learning happen of what you learned, that sometimes silence is the only response that honors your growth, and something magical happens when you make that choice. Something clicks in the universe. It's like the final test is passed, and suddenly the floodgates open. Because you proved going backward isn't happening. You proved you're not the person who accepts less anymore. You proved that your transformation is real and permanent and unshakable. The moment you pass that test, everything changes. Within a short time of proving to yourself and the universe that you're serious about your standards, opportunities start flowing in that make your head spin. The right people start appearing out of nowhere. The right situations start presenting themselves. The right doors start opening. It's like the universe was waiting for you to prove settling won't happen before sending everything you deserve could occur. Someone new enters your life. Someone who sees you immediately. Someone who doesn't need to be convinced of your value because recognizing it happens the moment looking at you happens. Someone who matches your energy instead of draining it. Someone who adds to your life instead of taking from it. Someone who feels like home instead of like work. And you realize that this is what you were waiting for. This is why letting go of everything that wasn't this had to happen. The contrast is shocking. This person doesn't make you question if interest exists. Clarity gets made. Game playing doesn't happen, or keeping you guessing doesn't happen. Directness exists. Needing you to chase or convince or prove yourself doesn't exist. Your worth is already seen. Making you feel anxious or uncertain or like you're too much doesn't happen. You get made to feel peaceful and seen and exactly enough. This is what it feels like when someone is actually right for you. This is what you were protecting your energy for. Your career takes off in ways you didn't expect. That project you've been working on in private suddenly gets the attention it deserves. That idea you thought nobody would understand suddenly resonates with exactly the right people. That dream you were afraid to speak out loud suddenly feels possible. Everything you were building during your isolation period starts paying off in real, tangible ways. Money starts flowing more easily, not because working harder is happening, but because working smarter is happening. Because alignment exists, because wasting energy on people and situations that don't serve you isn't happening anymore. That energy is now going toward your purpose, your passion, your actual goals, and the universe rewards alignment, always. Opportunities you didn't even apply for start finding you. People you've never met start reaching out, asking to work with you. Doors you didn't know existed start opening. It's like the universe is saying, finally, you're ready. Here's everything that's been held for you. Here's what couldn't be given when accepting less was still happening. Here's what couldn't be sent when attachment still existed to what wasn't meant for you. Your whole life starts reflecting your internal transformation. The people around you are different. The opportunities available to you are different. The way people treat you is different. Because you're different. Accepting scraps is no longer happening. Tolerating disrespect is no longer happening. Being available for anything that doesn't align with your highest good is no longer happening. and the universe is responding to that standard by matching it. Even your living situation changes. Maybe you move to a better place. Maybe renovation happens to your current space. Maybe you just start seeing your environment differently. But something shifts. Your external world starts matching your internal world. Clean energy, clean space, high vibration, high quality life, aligned spirit, aligned circumstances. People are really talking now. Words are being said about you glowing. Words are being said about you changing. Words are being said that something about you is different, and being drawn to it can't be stopped. And the words are right. You did change. You transformed. You evolved. You became the person you were always meant to be once everything blocking your light got removed. You're ascending, not in some vague spiritual way, in a real tangible way. You're moving into a new season where everything you lost is being restored multiplied. Everything you sacrificed is being rewarded exponentially. Everything you waited for is being delivered divinely. You're entering a chapter of your life where the main character energy you activated becomes your permanent state of being. People who couldn't stop thinking about you. That number is about to multiply. That attention you were getting, it's about to intensify. That glow everyone was talking about, it's about to become blinding. Because being done with ascending isn't reality. Being done with evolving isn't reality. Being done with becoming isn't reality. This is just the beginning of what happens when a chosen one finally chooses themselves. The energy you pulled back, giving it away anymore isn't happening. You're using it to build an empire. You're using it to create a life that doesn't need validation, because being so fulfilling from the inside is reality. You're using it to attract people who add value instead of people who extract it. You're using it to manifest opportunities that align with your purpose instead of opportunities that just pay bills. People are going to keep saying you're hot and mysterious. People are going to keep asking about you. People are going to keep trying to figure out what changed. And you're going to keep letting wondering happen. Because you understand now that mystery is power, that selectivity is strength, that boundaries are love, that protecting your energy is the most important thing you can do. Your presence alone is now making people question their own choices. When seeing you protecting your peace happens, wondering occurs about why tolerating chaos keeps happening. When seeing you setting boundaries happens, wondering occurs about why letting people cross lines keeps happening. When seeing you choosing yourself happens, wondering occurs about why choosing others who don't choose back keeps happening. You're not trying to teach anyone anything. You're just living in your truth. But your truth is so powerful that it exposes everyone else's compromises. People are starting to understand that you're not just hot. You're untouchable. You're not just mysterious. You're selective. You're not just glowing. You're ascending. And positioning is being tried to be part of your next chapter before being left behind completely happens. Proving is being tried that worthiness exists of your energy before rising to a level where reaching you can't happen anymore. Getting in now is being tried while a chance still exists, but concern doesn't exist with who's trying to catch up. Focus exists on where you're going. Looking back at who got left behind isn't happening. Looking forward to who you're becoming is happening. Worry doesn't exist about who's watching. Commitment exists to what you're building. Distraction doesn't exist by attention. Devotion exists to your ascension. You didn't just glow up, chosen one. You woke up. You woke up to who you really are. You woke up to what you really deserve. You woke up to the power you've always had but were giving away for free. And now that being awake is reality, now that being aligned is reality, now that operating from your true frequency is reality, nothing can stop what's coming for you. The universe felt it when you pulled back your energy. Every person in your orbit felt it. The whole world felt it. And now the whole world is responding. Being drawn to you is happening. Talking about you is happening. Asking about you is happening. Because you activated something that most people never touch in their entire lifetime. You activated your main character energy. You stepped into your power. You claimed your throne. And this is just the beginning. The glow everyone's seeing now is nothing compared to what's coming. The attention you're getting now is nothing compared to what's building. The transformation people are witnessing now is nothing compared to what you're still becoming. Because being done doesn't exist. Being finished doesn't exist. Being complete doesn't exist. You're ascending, and everyone can feel it. Feeling happened when you pulled back. Feeling happened when you disappeared. Feeling happened when you emerged. And even more feeling is going to happen as you continue rising to levels that can't even be imagined yet. This is your time. This is your season. This is your elevation. You pulled back your energy and you glowed up. You protected your peace and you powered up. You chose yourself and you leveled up. And now everyone's watching. Everyone's asking. Everyone's wondering how you did it. But you know the secret. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was choice. You chose yourself when everyone expected you to choose them. You chose your peace when everyone expected you to keep theirs. You chose your power when everyone was comfortable with you being powerless. That's the difference between you and everyone else. That's why talking is happening. That's why asking is happening. That's why being unable to stop thinking about you is happening. You made a choice that others are too afraid to make. You set a boundary that others are too weak to set. You walked away from what others would be too desperate to leave. And now reaping is happening of what you sowed. Harvesting is happening of what you planted. Receiving is happening of what you earned. The mystery, the attraction, the attention, the opportunities, the right people, the right situations, the right life. It's all coming to you because finally becoming worthy of it happened. Not because not being worthy before was reality, but because finally believing you were worthy enough to stop accepting less than you deserve happened. The conversations about you aren't dying down. Multiplying is happening. More people are noticing. More people are curious. More people are attracted. And trying isn't even happening from you. You're just existing in your power and letting that power speak for itself. Explaining yourself isn't happening. Justifying your choices isn't happening. Apologizing for your standards isn't happening. You're just being, and your being is enough. Keep shining, chosen one. Keep protecting your energy. Keep being selective. Keep maintaining your boundaries. Keep choosing yourself. Keep rising. Keep ascending. Keep becoming. Because this glow everyone's talking about, it's only going to get brighter. And everyone's going to keep asking about you. Keep watching you. Keep wanting you. Let watching happen. Let asking happen. Let wanting happen. You pulled back your energy and you glowed up. And now you're untouchable, unstoppable, undeniable. The world felt the shift when you changed, and the world will never be the same. Neither will you.